Hello everyone, this is my 1994 Lawnboy M series. It is a model 10591 blade brake clutch, self-propelled 3-speed, and it's the fresh lube with oil injection. I picked this mower up on Facebook Marketplace for $75. The only thing that was wrong with it was the ignition coil was bad and it needed a fuel line. Also, I did some cleaning. It was very dusty and oily. The oil cap had been leaking, so the whole thing was covered in oil. And also, down here, where the engine split is, it was a whole bunch of oil everywhere and underneath the flywheel. I cleaned that up, and since then it has not been leaking at all. So I think it may have just been a slow leak over time, or there was just some residual oil. But as I said, this mower has the oil injection. You can see I have a full tank of 2-cycle oil and about a half a tank of gas. And I just wanted to explain how the oil injection works. So underneath this cover, there's the flywheel. You can see it through there. And right underneath of the flywheel, there is a teeny little pump that's about the size of a quarter. And there is a worm gear on the crankshaft, or I should say the worm gear pair on the crankshaft and that little oil pump. And it pumps the oil from a hose into the pump, and then whenever it comes out, you can see the oil pump leaving the tank down inside there. It looks like there's a drip of oil, and I'm going to explain where all this oil came from that's under here in a moment. The oil leaves the pump. You can see there's this little spacer plate that is right there between the carburetor and the engine. And on the other side, the hose connects to that and the oil drips in there through the pump. So the order is the air filter, the carburetor, which would be delivering the straight gas, then the plate with the 2-cycle oil, so the gas just blows in past the oil, so the oil gets into the gas that way. The ratio is a 64-to-1 gas oil mixture that it automatically mixes it at. And the oil pump, it adjusts the rate of flow off of the governor arm. So if the governor is like making the engine a wide open throttle, it's going to put the oil pump at max velocity, or likewise if you idle the engine all the way down, it closes off a little arm. There's a little linkage that connects that's all underneath this plate, and there is a way to adjust that. If you look in the Lawnboy service manual, it tells you how to adjust it so that the engine is getting the proper amount of oil so it doesn't burn up. And I know the oil injection does work because whenever I first got the mower, I ran a tank, actually probably close to 2 tanks of 50-to-1 mixed fuel and the gas while there was oil in there. And I made a mark with a Sharpie. Let me just remove the bag. I made a mark with the Sharpie right here. And the oil level went down ever so slightly after those 2 tanks. And ever since then, I've ran straight gas through. I've ran about probably close to 5 tanks of straight gas through without any issue at all, and the oil level has gone down. The oil tank holds 32 ounces of oil, which is 1 quart, and I forget how much the gas tank holds, but I did the math, and I should be able to run 16 full gallons of straight gas through on 1 tank of the 2-cycle oil. Now, I'm not exactly sure if it lets you use the whole 32 ounces before it shuts off. Possibly, but I don't know. Now I want to talk about why all that oil is underneath of the shroud. That's because of the oil cap. I've had horrible luck with the oil caps always leaking on me. This is the original oil cap to this mower, and I have redone the foam that goes inside of this little plastic piece, and it still spurts oil out the top. So I figured maybe this cap is something, there's a crack or something, So I got a new cap off of eBay, and I used it for about 5 minutes, and there was just a straight geyser of oil out the top because the little foam piece inside had completely disintegrated. That's what all this oil is underneath. I'm gonna have to take this whole thing apart. So at this point, I'm at a loss of what to do to get the oil to seal. Part of the reason is I did slightly overfill it, but still, the gas cap, I've put gas literally to the very tippy top here. I've never had so much as a drop leak out of the gas cap, so I'm not exactly sure what the deal is with that. To this day, this is one of the most feature-rich mowers I've ever seen and used. It was well ahead of its time in the 90s, and it is even still ahead of many mowers that you can buy today. For example, this has a blade brake clutch. Well, that's not exactly unheard of on Lawnboys. It was definitely a lot more of an expensive option, and it was definitely rare. It has a 3-speed transmission, which I believe is made by Tough Torque. It has a more ergonomic handle than all the other Lawnboys of this time. All the cables run down inside of the tube, so you don't see any cables that make it messy at all. And it has the oil injection, which, as far as I've known, has never been done on a Lawnboy since the M series or any mower. It also has many safety switches. For example, there's a safety switch with the bag. You can start the mower up without the bag on, but if you go to engage the blade without the bag on, it grounds it out and kills it. That's a combination of these two switches here. There is you can see the blade safety switch, the bag switch, and then there is also a low oil cutoff switch. That's what that connector right here does. So there's a float, so if it senses the oil level is too low, it will kill the engine. So if your oil is low and you're mowing on a hill and you wonder why it keeps cutting out, that would be why. This engine is a 5 horsepower engine, and whenever you start it up without the blade engaged and you idle it all the way down, it sounds just like a 2-stroke dirt bike. I'm going to be starting it up in a little bit. This mower did come with the bag, but not the mulch plug. So I think I'd rather have the bag than the mulch plug, but if I could get a mulch plug, I would, because it is a pain to bag the grass all the time. The bag's actually in really good condition too, and this bag fits on so easily. There's no flaps or anything. The only thing this mower is going to need is new rear wheels, as they are very bald. And one thing that's kind of on the list but not a priority is the self-propel handle here. This handle actually broke, and it was a fault of my own. I was trying to straighten it out a little bit because it was bent, and these are just cast aluminum. So I had it in the vise and was trying to bend it, and it just snapped. This is JB welded together, and let me just say, I've never used JB Weld before in my life. This was the first thing I've ever used it before. You always hear, oh, it's so good and everything, that it's strong as steel. And let me just say, I did not think this was going to work at all. This has been on here since I've gotten the mower, essentially, and I've used it, and this has been actually beat on. This handle whacked against something really hard, and I thought for sure it was going to snap. Still holding up just fine. This piece, brand new from Lawnboy, is over $200. That's why I was a little hesitant, and it's on the back burner, but as long as this JB Weld holds up, I'm not going to replace it. The Lawnboy M series is OMC's last chance at making their own mower. This model, the 10591, is not a OMC Lawnboy. This is after Toro already took them over. But this is what OMC would have turned into. Who knows what they would have come out of if Toro had not bought them. This was their officially last design mower that they made. That's why you see Lawnboy M series sets M21 BMR. That would have been the equivalent model to this that was designed by OMC. Any model number that has the it's just numbers like this, those were ones that Toro did. But M21 EMR, that's the electric start one, those were all ones that were made by OMC. I'd actually rather have one made by Toro though, because this already has the updated gas tank. If you know anything about Lawnboy M series, the gas tanks were bad. They would fail. Also, I remember reading somewhere that apparently, oh yes, it is the drive wheels. The OMC models had the spoked wheels like this. Or they were not these wheels, but they had plastic teeth inside the wheel, right on the outside that the gear would run into. Very hard to find. They're almost impossible to find. I had an older Lawnboy commercial mower that used those wheels, and I could only get a used set. This model right here is the Toro designed one. This is on all the Duraforce mowers, any modern self-propelled one. I believe even the Toro Super Recycler wheels would fit this mower. But I'm going to get these Lawnboy wheels because I don't want them. I want them to match. This is a mower that I'm trying to keep as original as possible because it is so rare and valuable. Back in 1994, this mower cost over $1,000. I couldn't even imagine how much that would cost today. In 2023, the Honda HRX 217 with the blade brake clutch and the hydrostatic transmission is right at $1,000. And that's like one of the best mowers you can buy in today's market. So probably equivalent would be around $1,500, close to $2,000, which is even more than like a Toro 21-inch commercial or Exmark mower. If you can find one of these, I would pick them up. This is only the second one I've ever seen on Facebook Marketplace, and it was remarkably cheap, so I just had to have it. It's very rare that you see these, even in this fine of condition, to have the bag too. This is one of the best cutting Lawnboys I've personally used. I say it mows even better than the side bag models. The staggered wheel models. This bag is big, but it is a little bit of a pain to empty, and I'll explain about that in a little bit more. So without further ado, I think it's time to fire it up. This mower has the metal Mikuni carburetor and a choke. I'm going to open the fuel valve. Let the gas get into the carburetor. This mower was ran completely dry before. Full choke. See what happens here. How low the idle goes on this machine. You just hear it puttering away. All right, time to mow some grass. have it, a 1994 Lawnboy Model M series. Still stripes too. Might be a little bit tricky to see. Let me get with the sun behind us. This grass is known for not striping that well. It does much better on better grass. This mower is so smooth. It just runs so smooth because of that Mikuni carburetor. Self-propel works really well, although it does need a new belt because on hills it does tend to slip a little bit. Could be because there's some oil on the belt. Close the fuel valve off. Take a look inside the bag here. I don't know why it's not focusing. You can see how the grass really packs in there. This bag will pack itself super full. You can see how it's mounding actually all around where it blows in. Like that is super densely packed. Put this back on here. Yeah, this is just a really cool mower. Oil injection. I use this in my lawn cutting business sometimes because my one Honda mower bit the dust. So the handle folds down, which is good for me. And it's nice I only have to carry straight gas. This is definitely a mower I'm going to be planning on keeping though. Not one I'm selling anytime soon. Unless something catastrophic goes wrong with it. Like you can't even buy crankshaft seals for this, which kind of sucks. So if you ever wanted to do a engine reseal, you can't. Oh, stay tuned for my channel because I'm going to be resealing a Lawnboy F engine and my Lawnboy Duraforce engine because they're going to be needing resealed. Thanks for watching, everyone.